Imagine a near future where every online post, tweet, or comment is watched over by an AI guardian angel. The US government, alarmed by chaos of misinformation, deploys a cutting-edge system to filter truth from lies. This isn't science fiction. Consider DARPA, that's the shadowy Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency that has dabbled with AI. They're the group who invented the Total Information Awareness Program, because who wouldn't trust a government agency to monitor everything we do, say, or type? Or Project Echelon, where it was working on a way to eavesdrop into every phone call and email in the world. Totally normal, right? So leave it to DARPA to ask, what if Orwell had a bigger budget and better engineers? That's where government AI comes in. DARPA's Civil Sanctuary program aimed to harness artificial intelligence to moderate online conversations and squash disinformation in real time. Civil Sanctuary is rumored to be a finished project these days, but we don't really know where its resulting technology may be used. The Department of Defense painted it as a noble effort, a way to keep us safe from harmful rumors during crises, to foster positive behavioral norms in the digital public square. But as this AI content moderator flickered to life, one can't help but ask, at what cost? Were we on the verge of protecting society or building a digital panopticon that could spell the end of free speech as we know it? So the First Amendment to the US Constitution forbids the government from abridging free speech. Most of us know that. It's a principle that has defined America's identity for over 2 centuries. Yet here we stand with technology that could let the government, directly or indirectly, patrol and sanitize discourse on an unprecedented scale. And it's not just Civil Sanctuary. We know the Pentagon Special Operations Command has solicited AI tools to detect so-called extremist propaganda to generate counter-narratives automatically. Over at the Department of Homeland Security, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, hosts a mis, dis, and mal information team, MDM, focusing on election security and public health misinformation. The tension with this sort of government oversight is palpable and dystopian. A system designed to defend against lies could all too easily become a tool to police opinions, enforce orthodoxy, silence dissent. Before we charge forward, it's worth hitting pause and looking back. This struggle, truth versus lies, security versus liberty, is not in any way new. In fact, the battle over disinformation has deep historical roots, and understanding them might just save us from repeating the darkest chapters of history. Let's go to Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers. He was no stranger to the power of disinformation. In 1782, he concocted a fake newspaper report about Native American allies of the British scalping women and children, a gruesome hoax intended to turn public opinion against Britain. Franklin even penned a pretend letter from American naval hero John Paul Jones, painting King George III as a brutal puppet master who engaged savages to murder women and children, all to stoke indignation for the revolutionary cause. Disinformation, in other words, is as old as America itself. Even our venerated founders were willing to bend the truth if it meant uniting the colonies or winning a war. Benjamin Franklin's propaganda were strategic lies in service of liberty. And he wasn't alone. Patriot printers and politicians routinely spread exaggerated or fabricated tales to fuel the fight for independence. The irony is rich. The very birth of the United States was the midwife by fake news of the 18th century. So here's the crucial part. When the war was won and the time came to build a nation, the framers of the Constitution did not establish a ministry of truth. Far from it. They enshrined freedom of speech and press in the First Amendment. The new American ethos was that even false, even dangerous ideas should be met with open debate, not government bans. This wasn't because the founders were naive and thought that speech would always be truthful or benign. It was because they understood an enduring truth of their own. The cure for bad ideas is better ideas. In the United States constitutional tradition, the assumption is that truth wins out in a free marketplace of ideas, so long as people are free to argue and expose falsehoods. Over the centuries, this principle solidified into a core doctrine of American law. Supreme Court Justice Brandeis famously articulated it in 1927. If there be time to expose through discussion the falsehoods and fallacies, the remedy to be applied is more speech, not enforced silence. In other words, don't censor the liars, out-debate them. Let truth and error grapple in public. Trust the people to discern right from wrong, given enough information. This attitude has guided U.S. policy and culture. Slander and libel aside, even lies are largely protected speech. As recently as 2012, the Supreme Court struck down a law against lying about military honors, essentially reaffirming that the government can't be the arbiter of truth. The American answer to disinformation has long been counterspeech and education, not silencing and removal. When we contrast our approach to other international approaches, the results are pretty interesting. Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union perfected the dark art of disinformation. In fact, the very word disinformation was coined by Stalin's regime. Unlike the American faith and open debate, the Soviet approach was to weaponize lies from the top down. In the 1920s, as Americans were celebrating some element of free expression, Stalin was busy creating a department for deceit. In 1923, he established a special disinformation office within the KGB, deliberately giving it a faux French name, Disinformation, to mask its true origins. The mission? Flood the world with calculated lies to bolster Soviet power and undermine enemies. The Great Soviet Encyclopedia later coolly defined disinformation as false information with the intention to deceive public opinion, essentially propaganda on steroids. And the Soviets practiced what they preached. They manufactured fake narratives on a massive scale, from blaming the US for the AIDS virus to rewriting history books, all under the strict control of the Communist Party. In Stalin's USSR, free speech was an anathema. There was no marketplace of ideas, only a monopoly. The state dictated the narrative, and any citizen voicing unapproved ideas could end up in a gulag or worse. Dissenting facts were not countered, they were crushed. Truth became whatever the party decreed this week. This totalitarian model turned disinformation into a state-sanctioned industry. The chilling result was a society where reality itself was malleable, crafted by propaganda masters and enforced by fear. Ordinary people learned to doubt everything and say nothing. The contrast with the American approach could not be starker. One system gambled that more speech leads to truth, and the other ensured that only one voice, the state's, could ever be heard. Now, in light of these two dueling histories, DARPA's Civil Sanctuary AI moderator and its related cousins take on an even more dramatic cast. The program's stated goal is benign on its face, to guide online discourse toward civility, to spot falsehoods and diffuse them before they spark violence or panic. It's a vision of high-tech harm reduction. Who wouldn't want to shut down dangerous conspiracy theories or viral lies that could put lives at risk? Imagine stopping an online rumor about a fake disease cure that could actually hurt or kill people, or quelling a flash of ethnic hatred before it incites real-world violence. That's the promise of AI content moderation. But who defines what counts as disinformation or destructive ideas in the first place? In a free society, that's a perpetual argument. With a government-developed AI in the mix, it raises the hair on any civil libertarian's neck. The First Amendment was written precisely because the founders distrusted government judgment over speech. They knew that every administration would be tempted to label its critics as liars, subversives. Today's malicious rhetoric, targeted by civil sanctuary, could too easily become tomorrow's silenced political dissent. After all, one person's misinformation might be another person's passionately held belief, or an inconvenient truth the government would rather not acknowledge. Picture an AI humming along on government servers or deployed on social media platforms, scanning our words and deciding in milliseconds whether our thoughts are fit for public consumption. It doesn't take a vivid imagination to see the dystopian shadow here. The system might start by weeding out objectively dangerous falsehoods, but it could expand its gaze, perhaps posts that question government policies, get flagged as misleading or against community guidelines. Maybe heated political discussions get proactively nudged into calmer, more anodyne exchanges, or shut down entirely for being too toxic. The result would be an eerie echo of Orwell's Ministry of Truth, an all-seeing, algorithmic editor ensuring that only the right narrative survives. Crucially, unlike private social media companies, this wouldn't just be a Silicon Valley terms of service issue. This would be driven by the government, even if indirectly. The First Amendment forbids the government from censoring speech, but what if the government builds the AI that does the censoring and then hands it off to Facebook or to X? It's a sneaky end run around constitutional safeguards, a scenario that has legal scholars and watchdogs sounding alarms, correctly so. We're treading a fine line, using the tools of freedom's enemies, algorithmic control of information born from a Soviet-style impulse to dictate truth, in the name of defending a free society. So we find ourselves at a crossroads. Down one path, we embrace the American tradition of messy, noisy liberty, acknowledging, yes, lies and hate will surface, but trusting in citizens' collective wisdom and the corrective power of open debate to handle them. Down the other path, we slide into a world where the government, through AI proxies, manages discourse for us, promising safety, promising harmony, at the expense of our own moral agency. One path carries risks, the other carries chains. No one denies that disinformation can be dangerous. In the age of social media, a lie can travel at the speed of light and sow real havoc. It's understandable that our government seeks new solutions, like civil sanctuary or its many cousins, to this very modern problem. But in solving the problem, we must not surrender what makes us free. The moment we accept an official truth gatekeeper, even an AI one, we've departed from the spirit of 1776 and edged closer to the spirit of Stalin. Bad ideas are indeed out there, but as history shows, censorship and state control, they're the worst ideas. We've journeyed from Benjamin Franklin's cunning deceptions to Joseph Stalin's iron-fisted propaganda, and finally to the present dilemma. How do we uphold the First Amendment in an era of AI and rampant online lies? The answer may well define the future of our democracy. As we deploy smarter algorithms to fight fake news, let's ensure we also deploy the wisdom of our forebears. Free speech has always been our bulwark against tyranny, a safety valve that, though messy, keeps the flame of truth alive. We should be extremely wary of trading that birthright for a safe space created by our AI government overlords. In the end, the best defense against lies isn't an all-powerful filter. It's an informed and empowered people. Let's fix the problems of the digital age, sure, but not by abandoning our core values. The Constitution's answer to disinformation is clear. Let truth and falsehood grapple openly. If we remember that and demand it even of our technology, we can harness AI for good without ushering a new age of Big Brother. The choice is ours, and the stakes are nothing less than the future of free speech. Thanks for watching today. I hope you'll tune in next episode where we jump into yet another constitutional controversy. Be sure to like and subscribe and let me know what you think about the risks of AI for our First Amendment liberties. Until next time.